Hi and welcome back to the channel. Now I just wanted to make a quick video before actually the gardeners have just shown up, so I'm about to get drowned out any minute by a huge amount of noise. These bloody leaf blowers that they use these days instead of a broom. I'm back in the old days with brooms and proper shears that used human physical bodies. So anyway, the thing that's cropped up quite a lot in the teachings that I've been doing when I've been working with people, and this is going to sound probably a bit crazy to some people, and that's great, no problem, I want it to sound crazy, is that I'm going to ask you, whose life are you actually living? Now, on the surface, you might just say, well, look, of course I'm living my life. Who else's life am I living? But I'm going to present to you that if you're not in a dire situation, if you're in a situation where there's a degree of comfort or your needs are being met, and within that there's still this sense of discomfort, there's this sense of anxiety, there's this sense of something pending, a kind of trepidation, and it's not always kind of like this massive thing that's surrounded, but it's kind of like in the background there's this sense of uneasiness, dis-ease within yourself, even within the environment that you occupy, that you move around in. Now, I'm going to suggest to you that this discomfort, this sense of uneasiness, is an indication that you're not living your true life. And what do I mean by your true life, your natural life? Now, I've been very fortunate to travel all over to different parts of the world, and I've had the great privilege and good fortune to travel to parts of the world where there are still people that live relatively free of our Western interventions and the cultural narrative that binds us together here in the West and further beyond now, almost everywhere. And the one thing that I noticed about spending time with these people is how at ease they are. And their life circumstances are not easy. They have a lot to put up with. They're not only pitching their skills and their life against the different environmental challenges. Could be like the jungle closing in on them constantly. Wild animals, things that sting, things that bite, things that make you sick, all of these kind of things. So compared to how most of us are situated in our lives, their lives seem incredibly arduous, incredibly difficult, in inverted commas. And yet, there's this incredible ease. This is almost like a palpable joy of living that emanates from these people. And you see this, they laugh a lot. There's a great deal of joy. There's a lot of mucking around. They're completely adult. The adults are completely adult, yet with this childlike sort of sparkle about them. This childlike wonder of things. They haven't been glazed over by some other form of narrative. And in my own experience of noticing more and more and more where I'm bound up in something, there's a restriction, there's something there that feels uncomfortable. And if you look out there in the world, you look at this whole pleasing culture, this culture that forces us into these situations, often work situations, but beyond even that. These situations where we have to put on something false. We have to be something other than what we feel. Now I'm going to talk a little bit more about what I call the guiding light. Now this guiding light is an emanation. It's the recognition of your natural being, sense of being, your natural sense of being. And you can download my guiding light activation for free. My website, starmancreations.com. Everything's for free in terms of this training. You can download it in audiobook, PDF, ebook, video, however you want to indulge in it, participate in it. So I'd encourage you to do that if you haven't already done that. But anyway, the thing that has become so blatantly apparent to me, and now the people that I'm working with and teaching this to, is that our natural state is one of joy. It's an exuberance. There's a joyfulness. There's a visceral joyfulness. And all the time we're being something that doesn't feel natural to us. We're living someone, or maybe more accurately, I should say, something else's life. What is it, this it, up to? What does it want? What is it doing? Why is it living us the way it does? And this manifests in all kinds of ways. This manifests in our obsession with money and how we alter our behavior. So money has us. We don't have money. It determines our moods, how we feel, what we're prepared to do, what we're prepared to sacrifice. And often in the jobs, in our culture, there's this sense of pleasing people that we don't want to please. We have to put on a false persona that doesn't feel good. And when I used to run my design and media company in London, we had a great saying, which was kind of the antithesis of what everybody was saying. It's like, our saying was, the customer is always freaking wrong. And it was great because we didn't pander to the client coming in with their ridiculous, stupid ideas about what they thought great design was, knowing nothing about design, and us having to nod and bow and scrape. So people came to us because the ideas were strong. They came from a different perspective, a different point of view. But it cost us also. It sent some people running for the hills, but those are the kind of people that we didn't want to engage with anyway. And really the truth is, how much of our lives are somebody else's ideas, somebody else's way of being, somebody else's idea of what is right. And we've seen this playing out so clearly over the last few years. The ability to flow, to move, to live, to express from your deepest, truest nature will move you towards a life of self-expression and happiness. It will challenge you to speak your truth, whatever that truth may be. It will guide you towards the things that will enable you, empower you, enrich you to be more of who you truly are. To see a flourishing, a flowering of your personality. And to celebrate that. So it's not like a spiritual practice that says all is one and we're all one. Yes, we are all one. There's all this energy, the light from the sun, transducing spiritual light into universal light, into the light of consciousness that's going on in your mind. Yes, that's all the reality, and that's the oneness. And yet what that gifts us is the possibility of individuation, to express something unique through this being, through your being. Now, I'm not telling you to go and quit your job and stop pleasing your clients and lose all your money and lose all your income. What I'm asking you to do is to become aware of where this natural, exuberant sense of who you are is not being expressed. Now, the long-term effect, you could say, of living out of that, and I lived most of my life not in that flow, in that sense, in that radiant stream, not moved by that radiant stream, not listening to my imagination. So many people now are starting to realize that at some point, the realm of the imagination, the realm of the mythical, the mystical, was downgraded. And since then, we've been systematically, year after year after year after year, pushing the imagination into the realms of insignificant, and this pragmatic world taking over, this functional world. Yes, of course we need to function. But we also need to understand that there are two possibilities, maybe three, maybe who knows, however many, but there are more than one possibility to reference your life, your consciousness. So when you reference your life from the shoulds, from the way things are, from this thought process, constantly noodling over all of what should have happened, what could have happened, should I have said that, didn't I say that, shall I do this, shall I do that, why did I do this, why did I do that, I could do better. Even that, coming from this torrent of mind, becomes a punishment, becomes a goad. Now, this natural sense of being, this guiding light, as I call it, the movement of that, as it moves you, and you feel this rich individual personality that appears as you, start to become more and more and more available. But you have to start asking the question, whose life am I living? If you don't ask the question and really be prepared to meet the answer that comes back. In my own case, it's been a very, very uncomfortable journey at times. And then the openings happen. And I see, oh yes, that's who I am. That's what it feels like to feel welcome into my life. That's what it feels like to be a natural human being. To feel that this world is rich with possibility, not cluttered with impositions. So from this point, start to notice all of these things that are not who you are. So this is the one way, when you see what isn't you, you can start to open the possibility, you can start to begin to question it. And it doesn't mean you have to be like hyper vigilant. You just notice that when you're talking, when you're interacting, where is that coming from? Is there this sense of anxiety? And why are so many people anxious and medicated when everything's pretty fine? They've got food on the table, they've got enough money. They've got the so-called things that make us happy, and yet they're not happy. They're miserable. But you'd never know it, perhaps, because we're not allowed to say that anymore, are we? Can we say we're miserable? We're comfortably miserable. Is that even permitted anymore? All these other things that aren't permitted, that corral us into what I call the command. This survival. And what that does, it squeezes out all of the spirit, all of the wonder, all of the natural magic that we are. And the fact that we are magical beings. And this light, this guiding light, emanates from what I call original magic. And I challenge any pragmatic scientist anywhere in the world, no matter how clever you are, to disprove that. Now, you can't disprove it by giving me facts about what light is. That light is, for example, a wave or a particle or this or that, and it does this, and the sun's got these things going on in it. That doesn't tell me what the actual consciousness is. What is the consciousness of light? And I would say that the consciousness, the intelligence of light is who you are. It's spiritual light made into you. And this is what you can express in the world. This is your birthright. This is why you have incarnated. And there's been a great forgetting, because we're nearly all living its life, somebody else's life, this coagulation of survival strategies. And it turns up in the body. This is why we're seeing epidemics of disease. This is why we're seeing people younger and younger appearing almost like calcified, because being something that you're not naturally supposed to be or naturally designed to be is uncomfortable. It brings discomfort. The body knows more than this thought mechanism. The body has an intelligence, and the discomforts and the lack of flexibility, the lack of movement, the inability to really move, because human beings have the biggest amount of mobility possibilities out of every single creature on the planet. We can move in more diverse ways than anything else. And yet see how we move. We've been squashed into this way of being. And this video is really just an encouragement, an invitation for you to see and notice this discomfort and where it's showing up, and to begin to question whether that discomfort is a natural thing. Like people say, getting old, getting decrepit is a natural thing. It's what happens. It's a story that weaves us into this constriction, into this fear, into this anxiety. And I'm encouraging you to question that. Question every narrative that corrals you into a discomfort that doesn't feel like it's a natural thing. Because fear is natural. I call it the love thrust. Of course you want to get out of the way if something's coming towards you. There's a natural fear of all kinds of things. It's a natural fear. It comes, it arises, it moves you, and it's gone. And then we have this omnipresent anxiety, trepidation. It's unnatural. It's not who we are. And this movement is moving you to express something. This radiance, you are being moved to express something. And the discomfort and the dis-ease is you being folded into a position where you just don't feel that it's who you are, that it's something natural. So effort and overcoming challenges, when it comes from your natural self, that guiding light, you are moved and you express yourself, you overcome the challenges. But there's a sense of wonder in the movement, in the tackling of the challenge. There's an alchemy that takes place where the challenges, the situations, the difficulties become possibilities, are alchemized for you to express more of this natural persona, this natural personality. So just begin to question this. Notice this is comfort. Whose life are you living? Is this your life that you're living? Your words, your expressions, your movements? And if it isn't, if you make the investigation, I'm not telling you, you make the investigation. And if you discover that the words that you're speaking are not your true words, the actions you're taking are not your true actions, the things that you're creating are not the things that you would naturally move to create, then begin to question that. And like I said, get your hands on my guiding light activation. It's at starmancreations.com. It's for free. I'm offering this out. I really want people to get this. The more people that get this, the more people that connect with this possibility, the more people that understand and are willing to jump into this, are willing to open out to this. The more people that do that, there will be a groundswell. But the most important place to start is right where you are now. Not somewhere else, not anywhere else. Right where you are. You are the actualization point. And even Carlos Castaneda talked about this, the point of where the world comes out of you. I think he called it the assemblage point. It's like where life pours out of you and creates the interface of your reality. But the interface that we're given, the prescription interface, is the discomfort. So see how you do with this. I really want this for you. Take care.